We are looking ahead to an event happening next month. It's called the Northwest Justice Forum, and this morning we are joined in studio by Cara Walsh. Thank you so much for being here. That is the Director for Restorative Justice, and Raphi Miller. You are the Director of Education and Social Service and School Services, excuse me. So good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
So what is restorative justice?
Well, restorative justice is a community-based response to justice that really focuses on harms, needs, and obligations. So different from a traditional model of justice where when something happens, we ask, who did it? What's the best way to punish them? Restorative justice really looks at what happened, who's been harmed or impacted by it, what are their needs, and what's the best way to really engage everybody in a process of determining what the outcome is going to be.
So what is this forum?
Yeah, so the forum it fosters the gathering. It's a regional restorative justice conference, and it fosters the gathering of people who are both committed to or just interested in learning about restorative justice. So it's a 3-day event. There will be key leaders, thinkers, trainers from all over the Pacific Northwest and beyond, really talking about the diverse applications of restorative justice in criminal justice settings, in schools, in our communities. So it has a training, which is on Tuesday, which is on trauma-informed restorative justice, and then a 2-day conference on Wednesday and Thursday.
So why might people in our local area be interested in this forum?
Yeah, I think our local community has really recognized that there are some challenges to traditional forms of justice and traditional forms of discipline. And our community is really invested in really integrating restorative justice into our system. So our juvenile justice system is really committed to initiating programs and practices that's happening. Our local schools, we're working with about 13 different schools regionally in 3 different districts, Medford, Rogue River, and Phoenix Talent. So I think when something's happening in your community and your community is really investing, it's just important for all of us to really figure out how can we be a part of that movement.
So when is this forum and when is the deadline to sign up?
Great. So the forum is May 8th, 9th, and 10th, and actually registration closes next Tuesday, April 24th.
Okay, so the clock's ticking.
The clock is ticking.
All right, thank you so much for being here. Stay with us because coming up in our next half hour, we will continue this conversation and talk about some of the speakers and why this event is so important to our area. Thanks so much again. Kyle, back to you.
This morning, we are continuing our look ahead into the Northwest Justice Forum. We're joined in studio this morning by Cara Walsh and Raphi Miller from Resolve Center. For those of you that may have missed our interview last half hour, can you guys just quickly recap what this forum is and when it's taking place?
Great. It's the Northwest Justice Forum. It's a regional restorative justice conference that really focuses on gathering people who are both committed to and interested in restorative justice principles and practices.
Wonderful. So what are some of the highlights of this forum, and who are some of the keynote speakers?
So a couple of the keynote speakers, we have a professor of criminology who's coming all the way from Kitchener, Canada, and he's really going to be talking about trauma-informed juvenile justice, and that's really exciting. Another keynote speaker is a young man. He was incarcerated as a youth, and so he'll really be sharing his story of what it was like when he encountered restorative justice in the youth correctional facility, McLaren. And he'll do that through spoken word poetry, storytelling, so he's a really dynamic speaker as well.
For those who may have not heard this topic of restorative justice, can you guys explain just a little bit about what it is and how it plays a factor and role here in Southern Oregon, Northern California?
Yeah. Great. Well, restorative justice is a community-based response to harm. So it really focuses in the aftermath of any type of crime or wrongdoing, bringing all those who have been impacted together to really have an inclusive and collaborative conversation around what happened, who was harmed, and how do we make things right. So it's not just around the fact that crime laws or rules have been broken, but really that people and relationships have been violated.
And so when is this event? And I understand there is a deadline to sign up, right?
Yeah, so the event's going to take place on May 8th, 9th, and 10th. The pre-forum training is on the 8th. It's on trauma-informed restorative justice. And then the 9th and the 10th are all of the different conference workshops and keynote presentations. And though the keynotes are a little bit more focused on community justice, there are workshops that cover a diverse range of different topics: restorative justice in schools, focused on the community. There's a couple that are focused on faith-based approaches. So it's a very diverse conference, with those 2 main days being the 9th and the 10th.
And deadline is next week, correct?
Next Tuesday, so April 24th.
All right, got to get going. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so if if you missed any of this information, we will post it on our website. Allison, back over to you.
The show.